Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Docs. Today we have the pleasure of hosting Tim from Resco. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tim.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited for the viewers and for myself to get to know you and Resco a little bit better. So to start, tell me a little bit about where you grew up and, where you're stationed now.
Yeah, so located here in Hudson, Wisconsin, on the western side of Wisconsin, right outside the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And just grew up here, stayed here most of my life. I went to school here in the Midwest, so only about 2 hours away. But the company's from this area. It's a third generation family company. So funny enough, I grew up where the business is currently located, and it's home for me.
That's awesome. You don't really have a huge, accent. I would think that maybe there'd be more of a Southern accent going on. Do people tend to have big accents there? I feel like every time I've heard someone from Wisconsin, it was very, very severe.
Yes, I'll say it. You betcha. Yeah, a lot of people definitely have accents up here, and it's kind of fun to poke fun at each other. There's a difference, though. We're right on the border. Minnesotan is different than Wisconsin, and there's some regional dialect going on. Yeah,
for sure. Are you guys big on cowboy hats over there,
or? No, I mean, that makes me think of the football team, the Cowboys, and we're all Packers up here, or Minnesota Vikings, and so Cowboys aren't our friends up here.
Don't quote me on sports teams. That's I'm just like, go sports, whatever makes you guys happy. But anything regarding actual teams, I'll just say I agree with the team that you agree with, and then
I like it. Perfect.
So tell me a little bit. Obviously, not everybody really dreams of growing up or having a job in logistics when they're younger. What was your first job before you got into this space?
Yeah, so my first, I would call it real job outside of this company, was in the sporting goods sector. So I worked a little bit in high school, just, a local sporting goods chain. And then in college, I worked for an awesome company called Shields, and really learned a lot there about sales. It was a great learning environment. They supported you. And, what I learned there is really they had all this push about finding your passion and helping solve people's problems. And that's just generally applicable in sales. And it was a great gig. It was a great way to kind of be an entrepreneur within a broader system. So, walk up and sell a golf club to somebody, and then go over and sell a bike and sunglasses and winter apparel and help a little kid with rollerblades. And it just really taught you specifically that every customer has a need to solve. And that's really the heart of sales, is listening. And if you can deliver on that, you'll be successful.
100%. Was sales always something you wanted to be in?
I think I discovered that it was, but it took a little digging. That role I just mentioned certainly helped with that. I actually had an interest in graphic design / architecture and CAD drawings and all that, and quickly discovered I was not engineer material, and I tilt more marketing, sales is how I get my creative itch. So yeah,
I totally understand that. I think I had a little want of graphic design, interior design back in the day too, and quickly came to the same realization. I didn't think I'd end up where I am now, but I guess just things happen for a reason. But at least your creative side has come out in different ways. With the job now, with Resco, how did you get into that? How did you start in your career here?
Yeah, so I'm super lucky. Family business, right? So my grandfather started the company in the 50s. My dad took it over in the 80s, and I really started getting involved in the early 2010s, and started on the client side there. And really worked, a handful of roles here in the organization to learn the different facets of it. Mm-hmm. But the vast majority of the on-the-job learning is being in the conference room with clients, mm-hmm. hearing their challenges that they're going through, what they're trying to solve. And, everybody says it to a point, but we're super customer obsessed, and just trying to find and listen and get the relationships deep enough where the clients will really open up and say, here's the true problem, and here's what's really happening in our business. And so that's kind of where I started, leaning on the client side. And then, through the years, executive vice president and now president.
Right. So now as president of Resco, what does a day in your life look like?
Yeah, I'd say the word is variety, which I love. And one of the better things about it is, again, to be in that conference room or being on that call with leading brands nationwide, hearing about how we can help them with go-to-market. But then we might talk internally about systems and how we make our Resco Online dashboard better, or finance, or equipment, or campus layout. Or we have creative teams. We're sort of like an agency in some regards, as well as a fulfillment logistics partner. So there's certainly no shortage of topics to dive into on a daily basis.
For sure. I imagine no day is ever the same with the president hat on. It must be, there's some good days, there's some bad days. I don't think you would ever have the same structure,
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
So tell me, obviously working in a family business comes with its perks and also its challenges. What's one of the hardest things you find about working in such a three generational company like this?
Yeah, I think it's the nice mix between not forgetting who we are and then also but staying modern and finding opportunity. And I'm thankful, there's full freedom here. Both the family members are great. It's an awesome working environment, a lot of trust, a lot of respect, a lot of freedom, but also this, anybody out there working with companies, partners, vendors, etc. There's really something crucial about it. I mean, this is our livelihood. This is our life. We're not, outside VC owned or something like that, where the only objective is to buy and flip it at all costs for a return or some short-sighted goal. And that really enables us to do long-term investment. And I think our clients really like to see that too. And a lot of our relationships are decades, if not more, versus just single year or quick transactional type work.
Yeah, 100%. Can you tell me a little bit about what does Resco do exactly?
Sure. Yeah. So I like to always say that think of us as like marketing execution partner for sales and marketing teams. And a lot of times that includes physically housing all the materials that brand teams need to go to market. That could be physical displays in retail. That could be food samples, printed goods, swag, you name it. Anything physical that a sales team or marketing team needs to go to market, we can help both manage that here physically in our facility, but also, again, we get into the agency side a little bit where we're doing design work, print. We have an in-house print department, sourcing of all sorts of materials. Our whole job is to make the marketers' lives easy. A lot of times this type of stuff, managing the physical stack, if you will, of marketing inventory, isn't really carved out on a job description super clearly, and it seems to be more of a distraction. But it's really strategic. There's obviously a lot of important spend that we want to make sure companies are doing that wisely and getting return. But with that, the reason we are in the warehousing and fulfillment world is if we're going to have all the stuff here, we better be good at handling it, warehousing it, shipping it out. So we also have these dashboards where corporate teams can log in and get to all the materials that is available to them to help them sell in the world.
Yeah, 100%. I do really like that you always touch the point about, customers first, relationships first. I think that, this is something I've repeated a lot, over different discussions with people, but it's something that I find that can be easily forgotten, especially in this industry. We're always trying to adapt, like how can we, stand out? How can we handle the economical struggles that are happening right now? That sometimes when it comes to like relationships, we kind of forget the ones that have been there since the very beginning. So I do love that one of the first things that you mentioned was like, listen, this is like, we're customers first, maybe even two customer first. Like we're very much about our relationship, but clearly that goes to show why, you guys have been strong for 3 generations, and I'm sure 30 more to go. So I think that that's really amazing. And that's definitely a point to highlight there. In your careers till now, what are some trends that you're seeing in warehousing, fulfillment, supply chain? Like, where do you think the world is headed right now?
Yeah, it's a super exciting time. There's transformation happening everywhere. Obviously, technology is at the forefront of that. But I also think, at least from my perspective, the most effective organizations are looking at ecosystems, like big picture, and not just people in jobs that have these divider walls where they don't really quite see what happens before and after their roles. So I've noticed that is just there's this more of a push towards the big picture, and there's less kind of transactional things that happen in silos. Everything's connected. Everything has ramifications up and down the supply chain and throughout the organization. And that's a lot of what we can help with too, is the messy middle. It's not inherently hard. Like, again, talking about promotional marketing materials, anybody can go online and source a pen. That's not the hard part. We do that really well, so the marketer doesn't have to spend a bunch of their time doing that. But what happens? Okay, you need the artwork. It's got to be right. What happens when those pens arrive? Where do they go? To the headquarters office? Okay, now multiply that out. Say instead of just pens, it was point of sale displays for grocery chains or something, and you have 300 pallets. Should that go to your plant? Should it go to your distribution center? Should it go to your headquarters office, which you're paying a ton for the square footage? Like, so we believe we're kind of solving. I know Starbucks uses the phrase, there's a third place, right? Not quite work, not quite home. We sort of do that for marketing materials, where there's not a good structure right now, and we believe we are a good structured way to approach these type of materials. But yeah, a lot of the conversations I have, people have much broader views across the organizations that they support. Even if it's somebody in sourcing or marketing, there's consideration and collaboration across the organization, which is good to see. That's important.
100%. Was the specialization that you guys have now, kind of like with marketing materials, was that also what the focus of was with Resco when it first started?
A little bit. We've evolved over the years. I think we're getting, more specific about who we serve and why and what we're really good at. Way back when, it used to be more of the lead generation, direct mail campaigns, outreach. So extending your sales reach was a big part of what we did. We had databases, a lot of database marketing, and essentially prospecting work through print mailers and sample campaigns and things like that. And so we always had client inventory here. We would do the sample campaigns. We would help with the execution. But we're also trying to be specific about our service mix and not getting too wide where we do everything under the sun and there's no differentiators. And so now we're really focused on, let's support teams as they have their marketing and sales activities with anything physical that they need to go to market. We also historically serve food and beverage companies pretty much only, and food service was a main part of that. So not even retail, but all the food you consume outside of the home, whether that's restaurants or hospitals or schools or colleges, et cetera. And it turns out we're not just good at that. We are good at it, but we're just purely good at supporting enterprise sales organizations with the stuff they need. And so through that lens, you can see where this would apply to multiple different channels beyond just food and bev.
Right. And I'm curious, with your experience in working in a family-owned business like this, how have you navigated the challenges of, the old school mentality to trying to modernize that to the new school mentality? What are some challenges you've had to navigate?
Yeah. Again, I think coming into it, it was the generation before me did an incredible job. And through each phase of business, you have different challenges, right? I still sort of feel like we're in our adolescence. Like we have about 55 employees. So that's enough to have a good sized team and have, a lot of capability. But with that, there's process things and there's departmental layout things. So we've tried to bring a lot more clarity as to where we're headed as a company, what we expect, and with that freedom for the management and the personnel throughout the company. So we have quarterly meetings where we update everybody on where we are, where we're headed, the imperatives for the next 90 days. And it's just helped bring kind of a longer view of open this thing up. So it's not top-down direction all the time of just telling everybody what they need to do. It's like, no, let's get a really good group of people and then harness their talents and abilities that are unique to them to grow the company. Because there's, you're going to go a lot further if you aren't the smartest person in the room and you surround yourself with really good people.
100%.
That's powerful. Yeah.
I think it's so important, and I love that you put focus and you value everybody's opinions within the company as well. I think that's also something that people can learn from. I think that sometimes we forget, that the people that work for us are the reason why the company has gotten to where it's going. So not forgetting the people that have been there for so long and valuing everybody else's insights. So definitely the fact that you check in with your people often on how things are going and how we can, get better in certain ways, that's definitely a big value add to how this success has been within the past 3 generations. Touching on that a little bit, is there any kind of customer success story that you've had within your operation that, you're especially proud of that has happened with you and your team?
Yeah. I won't name client names, but we've had it where, we serve a client, do really good things, and there's kind of a change in personnel or some reason to look at things, have an RFP, have a process where they reconsider the business. And we've had it before where we actually, unfortunately, lost a piece of business. But the beautiful thing was they came back. And so it was really cool to see the value that we say we bring in action. And, I think sometimes it's hard if you're doing an RFP or something where you're lining up a lot of vendors. It's really hard to get a sense for what the day-to-day is going to be like through numbers on a spreadsheet. You really got to learn the ethos, the culture. Will they bend over backwards? Even if it's a crazy ask, will they at least consider it and guide me through as a partner? Versus just like, yeah, too bad, so sad, here's our policy, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Certainly people can run businesses that way, that you can get a lot of efficiencies there. But sometimes it looks like an efficiency on the surface can create some pain later on. And
Right.
So that was really validating just to see like, yeah, we are very much appreciated, and our partnership is deep. We're doing more than just storing things in a warehouse somewhere.
No, that's awesome. I think it's good to definitely have your boundaries and, be able to say like, this is what we do, and, make those things clear. But I think it's also important to have some sort of flexibility when it comes to your clients. So the fact that you guys are, doing that as well, I think that's amazing too. Sometimes being a little too hard and a little bit too much like, oh, you need me more than I need you, can kind of backfire at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Put the relationship first. So definitely getting to know your customers and being there for them more than just, as a client, business to business, but really more in like a personal way is definitely makes the mark 100%. And I think that definitely touches in your career of sales too. I think just in sales, you're just naturally more of a people person. Well, you have to be. So it probably definitely shines in that way too. For you, since you work a lot more with marketing and things like that, I'm sure you work with a whole handful of different brands. Is there a piece of advice that you wish that, every e-commerce brand kind of knew?
Man, so again, we're doing a lot of B2B stuff behind the scenes supporting these teams. We do some e-com. What I would say if you're in the e-com space is, when you're looking at the business case, especially like freight is a consideration, right? So that's probably as important as a factor when you're going to market. Is transportation expense, surcharge, like that kind of stuff is all just as important as your own cogs for the widget you're selling. So I think it's be mindful of that in your strategy as you go to market, as you go to price things. Everybody wants free shipping, but shipping's never free. Like that's just a fact, So that's a really important thing to consider in your business model. And there's service modes that are necessary. Sometimes more costs and a higher service level is actually part of what makes your product better. And sometimes you just need it cheap and cheerful, and that's great too. So you got to kind of become a bit of an expert on the shipping side, or have a good partner who looks out for you in that regard.
Yeah, 100%. With you, when it comes to, finding your customers, what is that like initial discovery all the way to your close kind of look like for you guys internally?
Yeah, it's usually primarily we get business from referrals or previous clients that we worked with before, but we do get some business from conferences and things like that where, maybe I'm there just trying to learn what our customers need broadly, what the marketplace, how it's evolving, et cetera. Then you naturally run into somebody or strike up a great conversation, and it kind of leads to something. So yeah, I think just in person is still a really good thing. If not in person, the fact that you can do video calls is so great. The process is really listen and be truly helpful as a partner. And yeah, like you said earlier, you got to have your details in place. Sometimes you need to guide them on what they should be doing or what the expectations are. Or I hate over promising and under delivering. That just makes me cringe. But I think listening and then not being afraid to just tell it like it is, or tell the truth. Everybody's people. Everyone's trying to solve an issue. So the more you can be truthfully honest and try to help them in their role, sometimes that means telling them we're not the best solution. Which, sometimes you do that, and then that's actually like the best sales method ever, because they're like, holy cow, actually somebody's being honest with me, and they don't just want to sell me everything under the sun.
Exactly.
But yeah, a lot of times it helps protect our organization to gracefully say, no, I don't think we're the best solution. And And it certainly does protect them because you've seen what success looks like, and you can just start to tell when you're not the right solution or they're barking up the wrong tree.
I totally get that, and I really like that because that's definitely one of my like borderline icks too. Kind of makes me cringe. It's in this industry, like everything is so uncertain. It's always changing, whether it's economically or just clients shut down or people move warehouses or etc. It's impossible to promise things in this industry. What you can promise is your level of service and what your team can do, whatever kind of situation is thrown their way. But I think that if somebody is over promising something when they don't even know anything about you or your company, it's definitely one of the biggest red flags that people should really look out for. So the fact that you're able to know that right away, you're not a yes man, you're able to admit like, hey, like we might not be the best solution, let me refer you to someone else I know.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely pays back because in this industry too, like referrals are a big deal. You have 3PLs that refer you all the time business and things like that. So I think that goes to show as well, just the type of honesty and like, real people that are behind the business at Resco. Because you can't overpromise anything in this. It's such a red flag to me. I could go on forever about that. But 100% in your career path that you've had now, I'm sure you've gone through your challenges. You've had your success stories. Is there anything that you think back now that it's such a funny moment, or maybe it wasn't funny back then, but now it's funny? I always like to ask this question because there's always something that was a funny story.
For sure. I mean, this kind of goes back to overpromise, underdeliver not being a good thing. This is not a situation where we overpromise, but it's one that we were right at the limit, right? So we had a situation where, we set our standard timelines and we look at the project and the amount of work to do, and we try to be realistic on onboarding. And the customer's like, look, that's not going to work. We need it like this time, or we got to wait another year, or it's just not going to work. And so we had to get together internally and be like, can we do this in 6 weeks when it's normally going to take double that?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, get more space, get 80 trucks inbound. It was just like the fire hose was on, and we had to look at each other and be like, are we gonna commit to this? Can we actually do this? Even though we know this is well shorter than our typical, what we say is a good plan. Mm-hmm. And it was like yes, let's do this. And then it was okay, we actually got to make this happen. And it was like, let's go to work. But it was kind of that, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if this is going to go. And it did. And again, kudos to the team here. They do incredible work. But I've had a couple of those where it's like, okay, now we actually got to do this, and we got to do it to the high level that we say we do it.
100% pressure is on, but I'm happy that at least it worked out in that case, and maybe it added to the valuable lesson of maybe not taking on everything in which you think you can do in such a short period of time. So at least it worked out for that, but at least it did also provide a valuable lesson. But I think that everybody who's given me the same type of response regarding kind of overpromising is because they've all been through that hard lesson of why overpromising is never a good thing. Mm-hmm. So definitely a value add there for sure. In your career now, and I know that Resco does focus heavily on marketing as well. Why do you find marketing is so difficult in this industry, and how have you guys navigated those challenges, and what do you put in place to help you guys stand out above the others?
Dealing with marketers is something where, especially kind of our place in the industry, it's pretty a unique thing. Like, they're not used to dealing with logistical things, physical things. Like, a lot of that falls on supply chain, et cetera. So I think just helping educate them on what works well, what best in class looks like, what to avoid, setting expectations on timelines or cost or realistic factors in the world. It's a little bit of an educational kind of bringing them up to speed on right sizing expectations, and then, like I said, doing what you're going to say you're going to do. But certainly trying to find the right person to talk to that feels this pain is like the key challenge, I would say. Mm-hmm. Because again, it's a little bit of a niche within a niche that we work within. But once you do, typically they light up. And I've been saying lately, if I'm at a conference or something like that and somebody asks what you do, it's like, we sell relief to marketers. Every marketer is like up to here, and there's just noise, and you should do this, and there's a zillion stakeholders barking at them. And so to actually find a way to reduce that a little bit and come to the rescue is, I think, really fun for us. And the once the customers see it that way, and now that you're just trying to sell them something, that's like, oh my gosh, we need to talk. I can't wait. Like, this is going to be awesome. Yeah. So that's usually how it works.
It's great how you guys have been able to navigate that though and find your niche for sure. I think that that's something that people struggle with a lot too. I think that everybody's kind of still in the old school thinking because warehouses are so good at what they do. When it comes to marketing, everybody's just overwhelmed. They don't even know where to start. So I think that's great that you guys have definitely already found your game plan and what works for you. It's clearly working. So that's good. So definitely keep doing what you're doing there for sure. Again, from when, it's a 3-generational company. You guys have definitely evolved in many different ways. And since you started there as well, I'm sure, how do you find technology and, AI specifically has affected the industry and maybe your business specifically as well?
Yeah. Boy, we're embracing it. We're running right towards it. I think with any technology wave, the first step's to understand it. Like, before you have any thoughts about it, you need to know about it before you can make an informed decision. And so we've been diving in on all sorts of kind of test tasks, but being impressed by just kind of clunky back office stuff that used to take forever is like trivially easy now. Even daily briefings on like, what should I be focusing on? What are the follow-ups I need to accomplish? So in a way, everybody has a personal assistant now to help them stay squarely focused on what matters, and to eliminate sort of the time suck tasks that aren't anything that anybody wants to be doing, really. Yeah, but we'll see. I think it's early innings and nobody quite knows how it's going to shake out for large enterprises and what things can be automatic and what things will always need a human to approve or steer. Yeah, the getting good at prompting and thinking sort of meta, like one level above yourself, almost looking at yourself out of body experience type of thing is the best thing I've learned. Is like, okay, you're on the board, you're looking at me, here's the situation within the organization, what would you advise giving these factors that we should do? And you start to kind of just get this thought partner where you're like, oh, okay, I thought of the first 4 things, but the 5th one's actually very interesting. Let's dive into that a little bit more.
No, and I love the point that you said regarding kind of like the human touch as well, because I think that the AI tool is so good for so many different things, especially when it comes to like those miscellaneous tasks and the things that, would take, a whole week of inventory or a whole day of answering emails or this and that. But I think it's still so important to highlight the human touch. I think it's very easy to kind of forget about that and let everything become so automated. Definitely needs to be like a middle ground, because now with the AI thing, I feel like everybody can kind of tell when they're getting an automated email or an automated text. So it's definitely important to keep that, that human connection despite the world evolving to where it is now. But I agree with you. It's still so touch and go. Like, we're still so unsure where everything's going to go, especially with a lot of like automation things potentially happening. So definitely a thing to keep the lookout for. But I think it's great that you guys are able to use it to definitely help facilitate like some of the needless tasks that your team has for sure.
Yeah. Okay, if I can add one more thing. So we, another thing that we're leaning into is how can we help our customers leverage it better and fuel their, I would say, body of knowledge as a company. A lot of enterprises are just starting to understand that everything needs to be visible in data to be able to have like your own company training data. And the more you have partners that can provide additional insights, additional data that they can connect the dots with whatever tools they're using, the more helpful you are. So it probably goes for warehouse and fulfillment broadly, but that is a mine of data: current inventory levels, usage, out of stocks, velocity, ship tos, all that stuff. And so we're trying to fuel that and say, okay, we might, as a vendor for our customers, might not be able to put the full picture together, but if they can combine that with information from their CRM system, especially as we talk about sales and marketing, which things are driving ROI, which things should we keep doing, which things should we stop doing, that picture gets a lot easier to stitch together if you have all the data in view. So we're trying to be the best partner we can in pushing the data that we generate and own out of sight so that our customers can do something great with it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think that that definitely probably gives a lot of clarity to your customers too, which they might not get everywhere. So it's definitely cool that you guys are using that tool for that benefit too. To kind of touch on my last point, I'd love to know, obviously with, all the cool initiatives you guys are working on, are there any special project or initiatives you guys are currently doing or working on that you'd like to share?
Yeah, we actually just got done ramping up our physical capacity. So we've got a lot of pallet capacity now, added on to one of our facilities. We moved the pick and pack to areas that were not conducive to bulk storage and gained capacity there. So now it's really hitting the ground and telling more brands about us to fill that capacity and become partners. But we're also, there's constant ongoing technology systems updates type of stuff that I probably won't bore you with. But yeah, anything we can do to get sharper and work quicker. We're sort of unique in that we don't have necessarily the highest volumes of any one item, but we have a wide variety of items. So we're kind of a wide variety if you look at our inventory profile, and we're like a 3PL on behalf of all of our clients' inventory.
Mm-hmm. That's really
so it's just how to best handle that, and orient the warehouse accordingly.
No, that's awesome. That's so exciting. And I'm really excited to see, where else Resco's headed and all these new initiatives you guys have going on. I think it's definitely just the beginning for you guys. Like you said, you still feel like you're a bit of an adolescent. So, I'm sure we're going to hear so many other things happening soon. And, you seem to have your head on your shoulders and everything seems to be going great. So I'm super excited. I keep, looking on your LinkedIn page and seeing what's going on. So I think that there's definitely some cool things coming for you guys. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast. And I'm really excited for everyone to get to hear your story and Resco's story. And I encourage everybody to kind of go on down below and look at their profile on WearMatch and look on their website. And if it's a partner that you feel that could be a great fit for you, we definitely encourage you guys to go check them out and contact Tim. But besides that, I want to thank you again, Tim, for being on. And thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode.